So another thing, Sunday afternoon, people come over to your home, you get a whole chicken, you put it in the oven, you cook it for a while, you end up with a roast chicken. You also have roast beef, roast lamb. So roast vegetables and meat. So whatever the meat is, we cook it in the oven with some vegetables, and maybe a roast chicken I probably put in the oven for 1 or 2 hours. Depending on the size of the chicken. And the slower you cook it, the better it will taste. So a Sunday roast is a very common thing in Australia, England, America, when the family all comes over to somebody's home, or you bring some relatives and you cook a roast chicken with vegetables. Potato, onion, carrots, pumpkin, also very common vegetables to cook in the oven. Now, do not say, Italian noodles, Italian noodles. We do not call these Italian noodles. Okay, this is spaghetti. Spaghetti is one kind of pasta. Now, this particular spaghetti is called spaghetti bolognese. Bolognese is the meat and tomato sauce they put on top. Spaghetti is this part here. So spaghetti is one kind of pasta. You have many, many, many different shapes of pasta. But spaghetti bolognese is probably one of the most common things to cook. In fact, I'm starting to get hungry. I think I might cook spaghetti bolognese sometime this week. Okay, so it's a very common thing to eat for dinner, more than lunch. Okay, this is not the best picture, but this is a very common British food, but also we love this in Australia. You're going to get this near the water, usually. Fish and chips. So this is fried fish. So normally a piece of fish like that, no bones. They put it in the fryer and they take it out with some chips. So fish and chips, very common seaside food. I also love fish and chips. In fact, I love all of these foods. I love all foods mostly. So fish and chips, not healthy. Again, I'm likely to have a roast chicken once a week, spaghetti bolognese once a week, sandwich 4 or 5 times a week, fish and chips once a month. It's not a healthy food. Spaghetti's not too bad. Roast chicken's not too bad. Sandwiches, these are foods we have regularly. Fish and chips, not a regular food. This is also not a regular food. Again, hamburger. Often if you go to a restaurant, you get a hamburger and chips. Oh, by the way, French fries in America, chips in Australia and the UK. Now, again, a good burger has a thick meat patty, not those really thin ones you get at McDonald's and Burger King. No. Really thick piece of meat. Again, you want maybe some other things on it. I like bacon and egg on my hamburger. Lettuce, tomato, onion, some pickles for some flavor. So hamburger, again, I might have a hamburger once a month. It's not something we eat all the time. Many people say, oh, look, McDonald's, KFC, oh, Westerners love hamburgers. Well, McDonald's in Australia is cheap. It's for poor families. It's not very good. It's basically really cheap, fast, terrible food that poor families can take all the kids along to feed the whole family for less than $20. A good hamburger costs a lot more money and is much nicer. Another food here, we've mentioned this word twice already, sausages. So again, best sausages in China are generally the Harbin sausages, but they're not cooked sausages. These are very good quality cooked sausages. Well, they can be good quality. I don't know. These ones look quite nice. Often we have sausages with mashed potato. In the UK, they call this bangers and mash, mashed potato mash. There's some carrot and tomatoes there as well. So I love sausages. It's something we often cook on the barbecue, but they're cheap. They're a cheap food, so it's quite often a nice way to have some meat that's not expensive. But some meat which is expensive, and again, this photo is just one camp. It's a piece of meat. It's usually about maybe that big, that thick. This is important. Often I've ordered this in China and it's very thin. If it's thin, it's not steak. A good steak is usually about that thick there. So again, steak with vegetables or steak with chips or steak with mashed potato. If you go to a restaurant in Australia, generally you'll have the choice. Do you want your steak with mashed potato or chips and vegetables or salad? Actually, I haven't got a photo of salad here, but salad is another common food. So chips, mashed potato, vegetables, or salad. These are all the side things we have. And one of my favorite things are barbecue. Now, barbecues are common all over the world. This is a barbecue I did in Weihai at my friend's place, Ya Feng, who used to run Laya Gyo Bar, a very popular bar for foreigners in Weihai. And this was me doing some barbecue for about 20 people. So that's like big thing of ribs. You know, the ribs are this bone here. And I cooked them there for like 2 hours. So they slow cook, so the meat's really soft and delicious. So normally in Weihai, I do barbecues 4 or 5 times a year for a lot of people. Okay, so what about some Chinese foods? Do you know the common names of Chinese food? Let's have a look. Okay, yes, that's rice. What kind of rice is that? I thought just having a picture of rice would be boring. That is fried rice. Of course, your gai fan can be something with rice. Um, Very common way of eating in a lot of China. I don't particularly like this, but of course it's very popular. Hot pot. I don't like sharing a hot pot where everyone's all picking up the food at the same time. I like to have my own hot pot so I can get the flavor and the taste really nice. So when it's my own hot pot, I might add some things to make it taste really nice. But when you have the hot pot in the middle, everyone's taking things out and putting things in, and you can't control the taste. Again, I've taken something noodles, and these are fried noodles. Fried noodles, fried rice, just easier to show in a picture there. So that looks like seafood noodles, actually. That's a mussel and some prawns there, some seafood fried noodles. And of course, dumplings. We have, again, I've got, these look like fried dumplings. I don't know why I've got 3 pictures of fried things. I like things fried. They taste better when it's fried. Yes, not as healthy, but they taste better. I love fried rice. I love fried dumplings. I love fried noodles. I love regular dumplings. Um, you know, I do live in Dongbei and have lived all of my time in China, in the northeast of China. So I love my dumplings. Alrighty, so there's so many other foods. I didn't want to go through too many, but they're the ones that I think everybody should know in English. I know you should definitely know dumplings, noodles, fried rice, and you'd think hot pot is an easy word to know, but a lot of students don't know that phrase. Okay, when you go to a foreign country, one thing that can cause trouble is the dinner settings. So this is the dinner setting. So when we're at the dinner table, you have all these different glasses and bowls and plates and stuff. Let me just go through this quickly. Knife. There is a knife on the side there. That is, of course, for cutting. Fork. Here. Spoon. You can't actually see the spoon. There's probably a spoon at the back there. Oh, there we go. There's the spoon. It's behind the bowl. So normally have the knife, fork, spoon. So those 3 things, and chopsticks as well. In China, I know you eat with your chopsticks, are all called cutlery. Okay, so all the bits that we hold in our hand to eat with. Okay, cutlery. Then we have all the dishes, although realistically they're all dishes, but here we have a plate, and actually there's no bowl. A bowl is the one that's kind of shape. You know, you put soup in your bowl. So here we have a small plate. That would be your bread plate and your bread knife, or butter knife sometimes, depending on what kind of knife it is. A bread plate and butter knife. So when you go to a really nice restaurant in a Western country, they're going to have all these different plates and cutlery there. Other things you can see, oh, that's not a napkin, but a napkin is usually what you use to wipe the food from your mouth. I don't have a napkin here, so I've got to be very tidy when I eat my sandwich. Tablecloth, we put a tablecloth on the table to keep it tidy. And we don't have in this picture, but also salt and pepper. So you get the salt and pepper to add flavor to your food. In most Western restaurants, you're going to see a salt and pepper shaker on the table. So it's normally maybe about that high. One will be white with the salt in it, black and brown and white with the pepper in it, and you shake it over the food to add some flavor. Okay, let's finish with just some general discussion questions here. Okay, how important is sharing a meal in your country? Of course, in every country, sharing a meal is important. It's how most people celebrate things. But I would say if you're Chinese, sharing a meal is really important in China because it's the #1 way to socialize. In Australia, we might go to the pub and have a beer with our friends as our main way of socializing. Whereas in China, you're probably more likely to go to a restaurant. Even when you're drinking, you'll go to a restaurant to eat and drink. So I'd say it's really important in China. What are some common etiquette, this word etiquette, when eating in your country? So actually, what are the rules of eating? So etiquette means, for example, in Western countries, you don't put your elbows on the table. You don't eat with your mouth open. You don't reach across the table, far across the table to get something. You say, excuse me, could you please pass the salt? You eat with your mouth closed. So here's some common etiquette there. Generally, you don't put your fingers in your mouth. There's food there. You know, things like this. So have a think about that. I know a lot of the etiquette from China, but I'm going to have you think about that. How would you answer that question? Next question. What makes a good restaurant? I think we discussed this question before with teachers. So again, what makes a good restaurant? What are all the different things that go together to make a good restaurant? Well, of course, the first thing is good quality food. But also you'd like to have reasonably priced food that isn't too expensive, as well as good service and a good atmosphere. The atmosphere can be the tables, the chairs are good quality, the paint, there's nice paintings on the wall, there's nice music playing, it's not too noisy, it's clean. All of those kind of things make a good restaurant. But number one, good quality food that's not too expensive. I mean, I'll go to a little street restaurant that looks dirty and disgusting. If the food's good, I know often in China, some of my favorite restaurants are xiaochi restaurants, just little street mum and dad restaurants. They don't look clean, but the food's delicious. Well, who usually pays the bill? This is very different in Australia compared to China. Now, the first thing here is I do not want to hear the phrase AA. AA means Alcoholics Anonymous, people who drink too much. They go to meetings to talk about drinking too much. AA is not a phrase that we use in English. I never heard it before I went to China. We say split the bill is when, okay, there's 4 people at the table, the bill's $100, we all pay $25. We split the bill, okay? So don't use AA. It doesn't mean anything in English. Or I might treat my friends. I know that's much more in common in China. The person who invited people to the restaurant will treat the people. Okay, so you treat your friends, you pay for the whole bill. That's not very common in Western countries unless it's like a wedding, that would be the case. But otherwise, we split the bill. Final question, why are fast food restaurants so common these days? Now, I don't want you to just think of fast food restaurants as a Western thing. There's lots of Chinese fast food restaurants. I know that Shengui Bing, Shengui Pies, is very popular in Weihai. There's lots of those little Chinese fast food places now all over China where you get your tray and you get this food and this food and this food and you go and pay at the end. Yeah, they're common everywhere. Why? Well, of course, the main reason is our lifestyle. People are busier. Before, only dad worked, so mum would cook. Now, mum and dad both work. They have a little bit more money, but they have less time to cook. People are busier, but they have more money. They have less time, more money. Of course, fast food is always going to be more common in those situations. Anyway, guys, I'm really hungry right now. I hope you're not too hungry yourself. So thank you very much, and go and have some food. If you have any questions, send them to us and I'll talk about them in lesson 10. Thank you very much. See you next time.